Hi, good morning, everyone. Glad to have you joining us here for another Visit NC Partner webinar. Before we get started, just wanted to remind you that the Visit NC Tourism Conference is coming up here in March in beautiful Greenville, North Carolina. Registration is open. Our regular deadline for registration ends on March 5th. And if you haven't already registered, or even if you haven't booked your hotel rooms, would certainly encourage you to do so. Those rooms are going fast, and we're down to one hotel with room availability. So again, just a friendly reminder, if you haven't done so and plan on attending, probably a good idea to go ahead and book those hotel rooms. With that, I'm very excited to have Andre Nabors come on and help lead a discussion today about visitors and welcome centers. Andre, take it away.
All righty. Thanks, Guy. Appreciate that. And welcome, everyone. Good morning to you. And thank you all for attending our Visit NC February partner webinar. We have a great lineup for you today and some fantastic information I think you guys are definitely going to find beneficial. So today we're going to be discussing visitor center kind of tips and best practices, sharing some things that have worked for visitor centers and some things that maybe haven't been so successful relating to operations, and then also discussing also some tips for engaging with the traveler as well. We have again a fabulous lineup for you today. We have Margaret Anderson with Discover Durham, and she is a visitor center manager. We also have Amber Scarlett with Randolph County Tourism. She's a director there at the tourism office. And we have Candace Cook with High Country Hosts at Visitor Center there in Blowing Rock. And she is the executive marketing director for that organization. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. We're going to go east to west and start with our folks there in Durham, if you want to call Durham east, that is, but I guess they're east of Randolph County. So we'll kind of start there. So I'm going to have Margaret Anderson come on and talk to you about Discover Durham. So Margaret, take it away.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks for having me here. So I wanted to start out just by describing how our organization is set up, our DMO. We are under a tourism development authority, and a portion of the room occupancy tax funds us. And you'll find that other visitor centers are set up differently. Maybe yours is. So the visitors fund us, and we don't have memberships. So there's all of our obligation is toward the visitors and to our community. By charter, we are required to specifically promote Durham City and County rather than adjacent areas that might have fun things that we could add in as part of their visit. Now, our visitor center is located in the historic Trust Building, which was built in 1905 and was the tallest building in Durham, in the state at the time that it was built. It's shared with other Discover Durham offices and also some other tenants. Now, if I can successfully screen share, I wanted to show you a little clip of our visitor center. So here's the entrance. See, we had a sofa to the left, a large desk in the middle, and our screen and brochures are off to the side there. And hope I'm unsharing. Okay, so you may have noticed that the light fixture has the orange chains coming down. We chose the color orange because it is energizing, and also because studies have shown that it stimulates the appetite, and we're a foodie town. We have desk space at that central desk for volunteers and staff to sit at. And the reason for that is that they are entering data into the database, And also, they're able to look up information on Google search. They're able to go to the email account that we have for them and look at updates that we've sent them. And just new developments in general, they can keep up to date through those computers touch screen. They are touch screens, but with keyboards as well.
Excuse me,
The
Margaret, are you still sharing?
Oh, I hope not. Am I?
Okay, no, you're fine. Okay, good deal.
I am okay.
No, you're
Okay.
good. Just wanted to make sure we had some, it wasn't coming up on the screen, so I just wanted to make sure you wasn't still sharing. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, at the one side, we have the giant interactive screen, and alongside it, the brochures. And then just to the side of that, we have 3 screens that show a slideshow. And on the slideshow, we also have QR codes that people can scan and be able to look at more information on our website. As far as the large screen goes, it's a touch screen, which is connected to a computer. And we're able to have Google Maps on there. That's one of the most useful things. But we can also illustrate what performances are coming up. We can bring up blogs, posts on our website. We have all of the internet to draw from. Then also in that corner there, there was a display section, and in there we have postcards, which we have chosen to do as giveaways like we would with the brochures. Now, our staff is mainly myself and a part-time person, and then we have as many as 13 volunteers. I wanted to address, where do you get volunteers, which is volunteer match. We actually used to have a very elaborate system for getting volunteers because we were also doing volunteer assistance for the venues. We would do the training on how to use the shift board system, and people could choose teams, including the visitor center. That got very cumbersome, and by the time COVID hit, we had decided to stop doing that. And at the return, I had to come up with something that would fill that gap. And as it turned out, Volunteer Match has been really excellent for us. It has the whole nation, but you can specifically narrow it down to your area. You can put the skills that you require, and it's brought us some very good matches. We do like to have 2 volunteers at any particular shift, but we also like to have the 2 staff people. The part-timer fills in for my vacations and also is there to help the volunteers at times when I'm off at meetings or lunch. Then, another thing that I was going to point out is that Discover Durham staff are in the building a minimum of 3 days a week. And that can mean that there are days when we don't have very many or even any other staff in the office, especially Saturdays, which is always an off day for the offices. And that is why we like to have 2 people on staff who are here to guarantee that we never have anybody alone in the building. Okay, so once we do have the volunteers, we gather their emergency contact information, we do training, we give the guidelines for, our particular thing that we are centered on Durham. You can talk about other areas, but you're not going to be aiming people at other areas. So also just giving them a generalized knowledge, and we try to keep that updated, as I said. The shifts are broken down. We have a 10 to 1 shift and a 1 to 5 shift. And those shifts, people, I've gotten off track, I'm sorry. I was going to talk about parking. For those periods of time, we give them pay for the parking that they're having to do because there isn't free parking except on Saturdays. And some of the perks that we do with the volunteers, we have quarterly dinners, And our volunteers do like to get together. They like to meet the other people volunteering who are not on the same shift with them. And it's a great social occasion. And also it familiarizes them with some of the restaurants that they might not get to otherwise. Fam trips, we like to organize tours of like historic sites, other attractions, so that the volunteers get a familiarization with that they might not have otherwise. We also recognize them for their birthdays and anniversaries, and generally try to use their great knowledge to get some perks, some ideas for other ways that we can improve things as well. Taking a second, but I wanted to get to just the general point of the absolute best practices is good customer service. And if people are giving good customer service and have a good knowledge of the destination, then you don't have to have all of the other things. If you had a pen and a pencil and you could give directions and you can extol the virtues of your attractions and listen to the people who you're talking to, then basically that is what you need. If you have good customer service, then everything else falls into place. Okay, Andre, I think that's about all I've got.
No, it sounds good, Margaret, and thank you. That's some great information. Again, customer service is always the key, and that's something I think we do have here, great in North Carolina. So next, we're going to bring on Amber Scarlett with the Randolph County Tourism Office, and she's going to discuss some of the same factors. So, Amber, take it away.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks, Guy, for having us today. We have a unique situation in that we are a destination marketing organization that oversees 2 visitor centers in Seagrove, and that is in a partnership and funding through North Carolina DOT. We have overseen and operated the visitor centers since 2012. They were built in 2010. I do encourage you all, if you are in our area, please stop by. They are beautiful centers. They're LEED certified. There's, of course, the visitor center with the visitor information. There's the vending building as well as the restroom building. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. Hopefully I'll be able to share it. Just because I'm a visual person and I want you guys to see how beautiful it is and then come by and see our staff. Let me see if I can do this. Are y'all seeing that? Okay, I'm gonna put it into slide mode. Okay, so this is our northbound visitor center. Again, I mentioned we operate 2 visitor centers. We are along I-73-74. Being the interstate, we're not on a border, but we do follow the business plan that Wally provides for the 9 state welcome centers. We're not reinventing the wheel here. Our goal is, of course, to promote visitation to Randolph County because we are about a mile from the Seagrove exit. So we want folks to go visit our Seagrove Pottery community, as well as our North Carolina Zoo and our Petty family attractions, our Kersey Valley attractions up in Archdale. But we also have North Carolina information following that business plan that Wally provides with the state welcome centers. Just to talk about our structure, you'll see on the left side, the northbound visitor center, the building to the right, that's actually the rest area, the restrooms. And then the building to the left is the visitor centers. Got 2 of our staff members here in the middle. This is our counter with our map and our North Carolina Zoo. I'll talk about that a little bit later, how we promote and display our attractions in Randolph County tastefully. And then the right image is our southbound visitor center. You see, it's a flat building. This building to the right is our actual visitor center. This is built into the rock. And on the top part, there's green space that our master gardeners in Randolph County maintain. And you can see, you can walk up these steps to the right and actually see to the next county south of us. So it's a really neat experience for visitors. A lot of times I'll say, this might be the only time anyone stops in North Carolina. So these are great representations of what our state and its hospitality represents. Our staffing structure, we do have one visitor center manager, and she oversees both sides. We have 10 part-time employees, and they are paid through that funding through DOT. That's an annual contract that we renew each year. And how we educate our team. So again, we want to promote Randolph County, foremost, and we take them actually out to our attractions. We have quarterly staff meetings where we discuss anything about marketing, about customer service, safety regulations, inclement weather, what we do in inclement weather. If we have large events, we have the US Open coming soon. So we're going to have some traffic for that, getting our team prepared for those visitors. You'll see on the left, we went to the Petty Family Attractions up in Level Cross. So now if someone comes in and they see we've got a car door from one of the Petty cars, and we have a hood on the other side of our visitor centers. So as visitors ask about those displays in our visitor centers, our team is prepared, and they can say, yes, you need to go to that place. I really think having the experience is a lot better than reading a pamphlet sometimes. And to the right, we visited the North Carolina Pottery Center, which of course is a mile from the visitor center. So it's a quick stopover for visitors. For the visitors and for our partners. So again, we do want to support our partners in Randolph County, and we also want to share their messages with our visitors. So each year we participate in these 4 major events. Of course, National Travel and Tourism Week, and that date is wrong on that because they have moved it. It's later on in May in 2024. Sorry. But it typically is the first full week of May. And we take one day of that week and we invite our partners to come out and just have a table or a tent set out in our courtyard area and just greet the visitors. Of course, since we're on a highway, on an interstate, they cannot sell items, but they can give away. We do Operation Thank You, and that's to recognize our first responders as well as our law enforcement. And it just brings about awareness. Seagrove is very remote, if anyone has not been to Seagrove. So we like to make sure that our emergency services staff knows that we are down there and we are servicing visitors. We have an annual open house, always in November. Again, we invite our partners to come out. That is typically the weekend of Pottery Festival weekend in Seagrove. So we're able to pull in some of those visitors and educate them more on other activities and attractions in the county. We do a 12 days of Christmas, just a goodwill to our travelers that are traveling in December. We partner with our local hospice who sells Christmas ornaments, pottery Christmas ornaments, imagine that in Seagrove. And we give away a random Christmas ornament to families traveling through the month of December. Another way that we engage with our visitors, we have an annual events board physically in our visitor centers displayed. So we're able to post flyers and events and different kinds of information that a visitor might be intrigued to see for Randolph County attractions. Recently, we were inspired by a visit to one of Wally's welcome centers. You saw the map on the desk. A lot of people are vertically challenged. A lot of people are visually challenged and they can't see the small print of that North Carolina map. So we took on 2 projects. This one is on the southbound center, the banner to the left, and we enlarged the county so you can see exactly where people are wanting to go. Kind of surveying where people are asking for information is typically that beach that's in South Carolina, but we're trying to get them to North Carolina beaches. So we wanted to give them a larger blown up image of what that map looks like. So the northbound side looks the same going north towards Virginia. We also previously had coloring pages. Well, we were printing off coloring pages for the children, and we found that, there's a lot of teenagers that still want activities. We know that parents, because some of us are parents on our team, we know we don't want to have our children attached to electronics the entire car trip. So we developed this activity page book, and it's a 3-fold. There's a word search on there. There's an adult coloring page. There's just different kinds of activities that are all ages. So we've had really good success with that. Again, I mentioned the visual displays. We have a tractor in one of our visitor centers. We have an enlarged map of the Zoofari experience at the zoo that you can kind of do a selfie with. So just trying to get the visitors engaged with Randolph County in those ways. Another, this actually came through COVID because we had a computer kiosk for guest registries. As COVID came along, nobody wanted to touch anything. We didn't want to clean up behind everybody that touched a keyboard. And I know that visitors are very protective of their information. So they're not going to give us their name and address verbally because who's listening to me? So we created this QR code that has a guest registry on it. And these bookmarks are really helpful to get more information to those visitors to where they feel a lot safer about providing their information to that guest registry. We also have this QR code on our travel guide. We have it on the activity page. So we have it in our print ads that we have, our digital ads, we have it really all over the place. So just wanted to share because we're really super excited about our 2023 visitation and distribution. Our 2 visitor centers greeted 109,353 visitors in 2023 calendar year. In 2022, it was 65,000. So we have tremendously increased and we're super excited about that number. The distribution of our local travel guides was 32,000. Distribution of North Carolina DOT road maps, people still use those paper maps, y'all, 33,750. The North Carolina travel guides that we were able to distribute to visitors, 24,850. And we had domestic guest registries from that QR code or maybe from paper, 3,420, and international guest registries have returned to 43. How we educate people outside of the visitor centers, of course, we have social media, and we also have a visitor center page that we, provide information on those special event days that we have, or just we're able to share partner information. And if you, of course, this is going to be recorded so you can go back, but please follow us along on our social media and see what's happening in the heart of North Carolina and Randolph County. And here's our contact information again. I'm the executive director, so I oversee the DMO as well as the visitor centers, but I do have a dedicated visitor services and information director at the visitor centers, Annette Cagle, and her information's here. So thank you again for having us, Andre and Guy, and that's my presentation.
Wonderful, Amber. Thank you very, very, very much. And the landscape of those welcome centers are absolutely phenomenal. So folks definitely do a great job on the grounds there. So thank you very much. So we have last, but certainly not least, we have the great Candace Cook there with High Country Host to kind of wrap us up. So Candace, it's all yours.
Yay, you're saving the best for last, right, Andre?
Indeed, indeed.
So I'm up here in the high country in Blowing Rock. I can see the Blue Ridge Parkway entrance exit from our front desk here. And we cover 5 counties in this office. All of the counties are located along the Blue Ridge Parkway. That's what connects us. So this is a great location for us. I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a tour today instead of sitting at my desk, mostly because my computer is broken. But one of the things that I learned when I first started working at the visitor center over 11 years ago is that there's a big instance of information overload that can happen when people walk into the visitor center. And in our entrance, we used to have all of those guides that you would find, in hotels, like discount coupon books and just a million guides that all have pretty much the same information. And people would pick them all up or stare at them for about 10 minutes and then just leave. So we decided that the best way to run a visitor center is to really simplify the information that we have when you walk in the door. So now we just have what is provided by the state and provided by us in the entranceway. So if you all are looking, if you don't have a lot of space like we do, this might be something that you could do, where we just keep the state guides, Blue Ridge Parkway maps, state maps, and our local guide here. So that's a good way to to cut down on the amount of space you use and actually help your visitors with what they really need when they come in. I would say the best thing to do with your information is to keep it simple and to know the top 5 questions that you get asked most in your visitor center and keep that information at hand and where the people can get to it the quickest when they come in your visitor center. So for us, that is going to be weather, because in the high country, everyone wants to go outside and do outdoor activities. So we actually put in this TV screen when you walk in that has the 5-day weather forecast out. So if people are going to be here for, the week, we can help them plan for the week, what days to spend outside, what days to plan to go indoors because of rain and that sort of thing. So that's really handy. We also get asked what's going on tonight. A lot of people might just be in town for the day. So we provide at our front desk, we have a weekly calendar of events that we print out every Monday that has everything going on in the 5 counties that is tourism related. People always want to know where they are. So on the front desk, we also have a counter map. It's a tear off map they can take with them that has a snapshot of the region so that we can kind of help them get oriented to where they are in the high country and where the attractions are that they want to go. They also want to know where to hike. That's a huge thing for us. So on the back of our tear off map, we have a list of all of the hiking trails on the Blue Ridge Parkway in our area and a list of all the waterfall trails so that they can have the map and the hiking trails in a quick tear off if they just want to grab one when they get out of the bathroom or something like that. The other thing that we get asked a lot is what to do in certain types of weather. So for each season, we print off a 1-page handout. So currently we have area winter activities. So it's just a 1-page snapshot of the main things you can do here in the winter, like the Beach Mountain Sledding Hill, ice skating, Grandfather Mountain, Limble Caverns, all those fun things, because a lot of the things up here are closed in the winter. So we just want to make it easy for them to see what is available. We also always keep our rainy day activities handout available at the front desk because this time of year it is quite rainy up here in the high country. So just having a few handouts that cover those main questions that you get asked will be really helpful in your visitor center. We also have a saying that if you get asked 5 times about a certain subject, to make a handout for it. And so we have a file cabinet right here that we keep the handouts on everything that we get asked more about than once. So recently, I guess the most recent folder we made was one for the, what is it called? The Outlander TV show. Is it Outlander or Highlander? I don't know. Anyways, there's a TV show that's been highlighting the area. And so we had to make a handout of all the locations from that TV show and book series because we were getting asked constantly about it. And if we don't have the answer, our practice is that we're going to find it before they leave. We never tell anyone we don't know the answer. We will Google it and call until we find an answer for them. Something else that we have realized over the years is that when you're organizing your brochure racks, do it by category and not by town, because people will travel for the experience they want. They're not going to just look at what is in the particular town that they're in at that time. So our categories are just by experience, art and museums, shopping, etc., instead of by Boone, Banner Elk, that sort of thing. Let's see. Oh, another thing was that it's good to leave out brochures for expired events. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you have the schedule for a summer event for 2023, like I have Ensemble Stages theater production. Why would I leave that out year round if it's expired? It's because people come in the winter months and say, oh, this is such a pretty place in the winter. We would love to come back in the summer. So we wanted to see what there was to do here when we come back in the summer. And we want to have those kind of seasonal activities still out so that they can see what they can do when they come back in the summer. We just make sure to tell them that that is last year's dates, and just to keep in mind to look for the new acts that will be available in the upcoming year. As far as visitor center experience goes, we wanted to make our visitor center really colorful and fun and welcoming. So we've been here 7 years now, and before that we were at another location in Boone since 1987. But we put these large murals on the walls, and if you've got large blank walls to fill in your visitor center, this is a great way to take up a lot of space and make it fun, and it doesn't cost very much to do. And then we have these pictures that we can change out seasonally. We just have them hanging on hooks here, and we'll change them for the seasons. We also have a zip line on our ceiling. If I can get it. We got some bears zip lining from Grandfather Mountain. And to make it interactive, like they were saying in some of the others, visitor centers, is we have a photo station here. We have 2 chairs sitting in front of the viaduct. So if you come up and the leaves haven't changed, you can still have your picture made in front of the viaduct. People find that a lot of fun. It's interactive. It gives them another experience here in the visitor center. And other things in the visitor center, we try to keep only local decor. These trees here were made locally. Even the chairs in front of our viaduct picture were made locally, just to make it more special and unique for our visitors. And it also gives us a place to send people. If they like something they see in here, we can usually tell them where it was made and put that on their itinerary for places to go while they're in town. And if you sell souvenirs or are thinking about selling souvenirs in your visitor center, I will tell you that here in ours, our biggest sellers are going to be things that are small and that will fit in their suitcase or even on their motorcycle, since we get a lot of motorcycles here. So our top sellers are going to be Christmas ornaments, year-round Christmas ornaments. Make sure they say the name of your town, and also stickers. Stickers have far surpassed postcards these days. And if you can sell nothing else, sell some stickers. Hopefully they'll put them on their car and advertise for your town all over the country. And next, moving on to staff. So here we have 7 part-time staff members, and most of them have been here. I think the shortest amount of time is 7 years. We have some staff that have been here longer than I have. Say hi, Diane.
Hi.
Diane's been here longer than me, and we love our staff here. One of the ways that you can find staff for a visitor center is to find local volunteers. We've had great staff here that have been volunteering, say at Horn in the West, doing reenactments, or we found people at senior centers that are just looking for a second, just a way to get out and talk to people that have worked here. And that's a great way to find people. And also just word of mouth, we'll just ask other staff if they know anybody looking for something to do a couple of days a week. A good thing to look at for staff as well is staff that have a talent that could actually enhance your visitor center. So like I said earlier, we did have a reenactor who worked here who would bring unique items in for visitors to see. We currently have a staff member who plays the banjo, so he'll bring his instruments in and play for people when they come in, gives them a chance to practice. It also gives the visitors another experience. And let's see, what else do I have on here? And we also have hikers that work here. That's very handy because, we get so many hiking questions. People want to know what's on the trails. And we have some foodies who work here who we go to if we want to know about a new restaurant in the area, that kind of thing. So it's good to kind of figure out, in your staff, what their passions are and how that can work in your favor in the visitor center. We also provide a easy opening, closing checklist for all of our staff. Since some of our staff only work seasonally, it's good for them to have this available when they come back in the spring months to remember how to open and close the visitor center properly. Let's see if I have anything else. Oh, and also we always let the staff know that they can go to any of the attractions free of charge at any time. That way that they can go and check out what's new and share that information with visitors in your area. I'm sure most of your attractions would be willing to do the same, just to make sure that your staff can give the best experience information to the visitors in the area. And we also like to keep them very safe. We kept a lot of our COVID protocols. We still have the hand sanitizer stands in the visitor center. I mean, what will that hurt to keep them up forever? We kept our screens on the front desk, and also buy the best air filters you can buy. We've got these ones on the floor. We buy the best air filters we can for our wall units because we need to keep everyone safe, healthy, and happy if we want to keep them employed here. I think that's all I've got, Andre.
Yep, wonderful, Candace. Thanks very much. Appreciate that information. Now, everyone, if you like to, we would like to open it up for questions. So please feel free to type in the Q&A section there any questions that you might have for our panelists here. I do have a couple here that I'll kind of read off. So our first one is, so does Durham still have a hologram feature in their visitor center, and how have visitors reacted to it?
We did. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We did.
Yes.
We did have something like that. Yeah. We like to try out new things, but it had an unusual effect on people. It was a little bit ghostly looking. We called her Carolyn. And people were a little bit creeped out by her, to be honest.
No, interesting. Probably would be good around Halloween, though, right?
Yeah, probably. If that's what they were looking for, yeah.
If that's what they were looking for, no, absolutely. Let's see here. Oh, another question for Amber, but do you guys still have the pre-packaged travel info using the litter bags? I think it was quite popular, especially during COVID.
We did, but we exceeded our visitation. So we ran out of our travel guides. We were running out of state maps. We were running out of state travel guides. So we did suspend that program for just a little bit. Those bags, we didn't use anything from DOT. The DMO was purchasing the plastic bags. So we hope to bring that back in 24, and we hope to continue to increase those numbers. Those bags are really costly, but they're definitely worth it because we can get some branding out of it.
Awesome. So let's see, another question here. I guess this was kind of for everyone. So are any of your visitor centers open outside of normal business hours, i.e. 9 to 5? And if so, how has the traffic differed during those other hours?
I'll answer that just because we're limited with our budget and hours for our staff. There are times in case of inclement weather, if we have evacuation routes coming for hurricanes, we've extended hours. We're fortunate that we do have our staff at our DMO that we're able to fill in and take away some of the burden on that scheduling. But typically we're open 6 days a week. We're closed on Tuesday. We did a survey several years ago, and that just wasn't when people were traveling through. So that was the day we opted to close. We're open all holidays except for Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. And we're open average 8:30 to 4:30 on those days.
Yeah, over here in Blowing Rock, we are open every day of the year except for 4 days, and we close at 3 on Sundays. We found that it's pretty dead after 3 on Sunday. I think that's when a lot of people are just getting to town and checking into their cabin rental, and so they have other things on their mind. So if you're looking for a place to cut hours, that might work for some other visitor centers as well.
We are open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. We did try Sundays, but we didn't have enough traffic to make it worthwhile. Another thing is in certain situations where we have partner organizations who need some assistance in promoting something, we will have tables there. For instance, we had the Streetery in downtown where they would encourage people to eat out by having sections of the street blocked out to have outdoor seating. And we did do a table for that in the evening, and that it was more of a supportive thing, didn't have a lot of traffic.
Thank you, guys. Here's another one, I think, for all of you. The question is, what is the most effective ways you have all marketed your area? Or your visitor center?
I think I can answer for Discover Durham in general that social media has been very effective. We have a great Craig Carter does our social media, and he's very excellent at it. And that's brought some people to the visitor center in some situations as well, where they were trying to promote it.
I think for us in Blowing Rock, Google Maps, of course, people are just going to plug it into their GPS visitor center, and they'll find us that way. And also word of mouth. A lot of the hotels will send people here as well as other attractions when people are looking for more information.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that our location in Seagrove, again, I mentioned earlier, it was very remote. There are very few restrooms in Seagrove along the Pottery Trail, so a lot of people will find their way to the rest area to use the restroom. But we are right off of the interstate, and there's clear signage, so that's very helpful as well. Our social media, we're picking up things. Google Maps too. I get reviews all the time that we respond to very frequently. So I think Google Maps and our location are our best marketing tools.
No, great. Yeah, no, I think you answered that. There's another question for all of you, is how prominent is your exterior signage, and how do you best direct visitors to your entrance? How do each of you count your visitors as they're coming through?
We manually enter. We don't have a guest book. We have had in prior years, but we eventually just went down to counting numbers more so than getting individual information at the visitor center level. So we just manually enter into our database.
Yeah, we used to have, and we still have a clicker by the door. It's motion detected, but people come in and out a few times, and we realized it wasn't counting correctly. So we went to an old-fashioned hand clicker, and it works great for us.
We have the same, Candace. We use that little clicker. We have some staff members that is their job for the day. They don't want anyone to touch the clicker. We're very protective and possessive of that clicker.
No, that's very interesting on the clicker, because my first job, or my internship out of college, was at a welcome center in West Virginia, and yes, that hand clicker was the big deal. And it's funny, we would fight over who was going to have the clicker that day. It was when I was right out of college, so I was young and impressionable. So yeah, it was always interesting. So I guess another question would be, what type of brochure policy do you have so your partners know what can be included and displayed at your center?
As I mentioned before, we follow Wally's grandiose guidelines. So anything that's approved by the state welcome centers, that just covers us. Within Randolph County, I do ask that they are listed on our website as a tourism destination, or if they have an event that they want us to promote, that is on our event calendar. So we have those guidelines in place.
And as I mentioned, we are Durham specific, so it does need to be either Durham or general state information, the state guide and map.
We're a little bit different here in the High Country in that you have to be a member of High Country Host to advertise in the visitor center. All the membership dues that our members pay go to promoting the region. So you have to be a member to put your information in here. If it is a single event, we will allow people to put those flyers out on our bulletin board or bring in some rack cards for that. Since you wouldn't join just to run like a one-time festival or something like that. But, and it has to be tourism related and it has to be in our county region, unless it's a state material.
A couple more here. So this one's specifically, I guess, for Randolph County and High Country Host. How are your operations funded? I think you mentioned it a little bit before.
So yes, we are partially DOT funded, and then the other side of our funding is from our membership dues. It takes both to keep the visitor center running.
And we are fully funded in a partnership with North Carolina DOT. So again, my DMO has our budget separate from that as we collect occupancy tax for our budget, but the DOT contract is a separate budget.
Awesome. And so I have one more for you guys here. So if you could change one thing about your operations, regardless of your budget, what would that change be? You always put the tough one last.
I think for us here, this is pretty basic, but we only have 2 restrooms now. We used to have larger restrooms with stalls at our old location, and it would be great to have more restrooms or restrooms that weren't only accessible from coming inside the building. If I was going to build a visitor center, I would definitely have the restrooms accessible from the exterior, from right inside the main entrance, like the state welcome centers have.
I would have to say, I need some internet service down there. I think when they built that southbound center into the rock, I think they were thinking aesthetics and not that people would actually come to those centers needing travel information off of the internet. So we have a real struggle with our broadband down there. That would be what I would want. And it's coming. I know it's coming. I know people are working on it, but that's my wish.
I will
Yeah.
say that this reminds me of something I didn't tell you all that might be really helpful to some other smaller visitor centers, and that a lot of people comment on when they come in here, is that we put in this really cool kiosk stand that holds an iPad in it, so that if visitors come in and they're not getting good cell phone signal on the Blue Ridge Parkway or just up here in the mountains, they can come in and use this iPad that's securely locked in the stand to, you know, book their tickets to Grandfather Mountain or check their email if they're international travelers. So these are really inexpensive. You can buy them on Amazon.
I would say that in
Awesome.
our,
Go ahead, Margaret. Go ahead,
oh, I
Margaret.
did think of something. Our entrance, you come into the hallway of the building and then you come into our visitor center. If we had all the money in the world and could change a historic structure, then I would have a direct entry rather than through the hallway.
Through the hallway. Well, I don't see any other questions there. So I want to thank you guys for your participation, Candace, Amber, and Margaret. I think that's great information. We had a lot of questions. So that's always a great thing as well. I did have one other response, kudos to Candace for providing, you guys providing options for volunteers to experience local attractions and sites at no fee, for volunteers. That's a pretty good firsthand experience there for those guys. So I really appreciate that. And kudos to you guys for that. Once again, thank you all for participating today. Thank you all for your questions out there, or our partners. We really appreciate it. And without further ado, I think we will go ahead and close the webinar, unless there's anything else that you guys would like to add. Candace, Margaret, Amber.
I don't think so. I just want to say that anyone who can work in a visitor center, you have the best job because everyone's happy. They're on vacation and usually it's a fun time. So we're all lucky.
I second that. I tell my team down there all the time, that's my retirement plan, is to work at the visitor centers.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, thank you all for your participation. Thank you guys out there, partners, for joining the webinar. And don't forget to, if you haven't already, make sure you register for Visiting 365 in Greenville. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be some great information for us there. And again, it's always great to see you guys as well. So look forward to seeing you all in Greenville. And thank you very much for participating today. You guys enjoy your day.